Coming in hot Monday, August 12th. Running the show a little bit early today, but that's great. We're going to have some people, some early people, missed the late people. We have some fun stuff to talk about today, including fake exhaust sounds.
Whoa.
I know, like, how do you start the week? Fake exhaust sounds.
Come out the gate with the most ridiculous thing.
We're in the summer drought still.
Like I see it.
Still in the summer drought. Everybody's busy selling cars. OEMs are busy repositioning for September.
They're all like, well, how do we get our OEM meetings done and tell the dealer something, but not too much, and you know,
don't want to disrupt them. Can't. I know. Did you do anything good over the weekend?
Man, I don't. We just relaxed.
Did you mow your lawn? Sit on your deck?
No, yeah. Yes. You know, I'm getting a couple things done in the yard, and so like I don't even need to mow my lawn right now. There's like a few weeds out front, but I can't do anything with them. So what we did, you know, you go to the pool. Yeah. You know, the kids are starting school this week.
Well, that blows my mind every time it happens, every single year.
Every year, you're like, how
kids starting school in August is like a weird thing for me because we're still 3 weeks out. Still 3 weeks out. I know. I don't get it. Well, I do get it.
You know, here
it's going to be snow. It's going to snow in 4 weeks. So
that's the thing.
Make sure the kids get there.
Let them have a little bit of extra summer, Paul. Let them have a little extra.
Just let them. Don't steal their joy. Don't steal their joy. It cooled down a little bit over the, like we had our first night that was like in the like 60 degrees, maybe high 50s. And it was gorgeous.
Dude, I ran in 63-degree weather this morning. It was magical.
Great. Didn't it? It's just, that's the perfect weather.
You know,
it's perfect. Hey, is this Auto Collabs note correct?
Oh,
it is correct. We got
without
a new Auto Collabs episode launching today. Our other podcast, Auto Collabs, where we talk and have a lot of fun, actually, with a lot of industry partners and dealers, going a little deeper. We're talking about seeing and knowing the person behind the click. How about that with Tina Cuatto of DealerOn? We had a lot of fun on this one. I mean, we say that a lot, but this is really kind of like one of those sporty, like Tina can go back and forth. We had a fun.
She's one of our people. You know what I mean? Tina's one of our people. Yeah. Hey, next week we're going to be all over the country. We're in DC, just outside of DC. We're going to be at the Reynolds event. I think there's still the ability to get tickets to this thing. It's the Automotive Amplifiers event. And we're going to be moderating a little session about how dealers are changing the game in their showrooms, in the community. So we're excited about that. May whip out the old golf club. We'll see how that happens. And then we're headed, and then we go straight down the coast all the way to the tippy bottom.
Welcome to Miami.
Welcome to Miami with NAMAD. And look, if you've not been to NAMAD before, one, you can't get any tickets because they sell out, right? But next year, you got to put it on the calendar because the NAMAD event is full tilt. We'll be there for a few days hanging out with friend Damon Lester, Damian Mills, the whole crew. It's going to be great.
It's going to be so good. All right, let's get into some news. So this was on Friday, I believe. Steve Greenfield made a post about the new Dodge Charger's fake exhaust sounds, and it sparked quite the debate. Dodge's new electric Charger Daytona is all about maintaining the classic muscle car vibes, even with an electric engine, or I guess we'll call it electric motor. Dodge wants to ensure the car-like sound, like it sounds like it has a roaring V8 under the hood, and they've introduced the Fratzonic Chambered Exhaust. I like how it's got the word frat in it because it just feels like a frat boy vehicle. The Fratzonic Chambered Exhaust system to make it happen. Steve Greenfield's post basically said, I literally don't know how to feel about this. Part of me wants to be really excited. Part of me wants to be repugnated. Maybe that's the goal, question mark. It basically wants to mimic the sound of the V8 using a combination of high-tech transducers, passive radiators, and amplifiers to create the sound. It adjusts with driving conditions, louder with throttle input, and varying based on the car's driving mode while it replicates the V8 sound. Some find it lacking in authenticity, but we're going to let you decide because we have a clip of it right here.
Let's see it.
Let's run the clip and listen. Here it comes out of a tunnel. Okay. Now this is the road noise from the back of the vehicle.
Yeah, you know.
Here's the vehicle doing donuts. Interesting. And here's it just sitting idling waiting.
A little idle, that little like low rumble. I hear it. Okay.
No exhaust pipe in the picture. Here's the start.
What?
That was the start. Sounded like that's the shutdown.
It's like a sad, slow death.
I feel like it's a spaceship from, like Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know.
It sounds like it should have some like landing sequence attached to it.
Yes.
I also like the reality. The thing that gets me is the kind of just very, very constant noise. Like
it was weird during the donuts. It was weird during the donuts.
The thing you get with an engine is kind of that like ebb and flow, like popping up and down and things like that. And this thing just like has a noise. I don't know. I cannot remember the movie, but there was a movie probably back in the like late 90s, early 2000s where they were. Do you remember this movie? They were like making cars, and then this guy was like, "I made this wholly electric car, but don't worry, it's gonna sound exactly like a regular car."
That was in a movie.
Yeah, where was that?
I feel like.
Oh man, I'm killing myself. But then, so I was looking this up when I read the story this morning. I was looking this up, and I found like a litany of YouTube videos of YouTubers making fun of potentially having electric cars in movies, and like,
then having to put the sound in post.
Yeah, just so that they can make it feel like, imagine like massive chase scene.
the little humming noise. I'm okay. I'm split on this. I think that I like the idea of having it. I feel like it's a novelty though. I feel like it's a party trick, right? You're going to show your friends.
Party trick, yeah.
You're not going to have it on because like, why bother? If you drive an EV, it's kind of fun, right? So it's kind of something that addressed a very vocal concern of, Dodge Charger drivers where it's like, hey, the car's going to sound stupid. It's not going to have any noise and all that. And so they did this. I think you bundle it with a rumble pack in the seats and some haptics in the steering wheel. And it could be a really fun way to go, especially when you have like the sheer acceleration you get from an EV. It could make it feel like you're driving.
It almost feels
really, really fast, like combustion power vehicle. But I don't know. It's a novelty. I think it'll wear off.
It's a straight party trick. I just want to know who the first person is going to be to put the ice cream, the ice cream truck sound in the speakers, right? That thing.
Can't you do that in a Tesla already?
I guess you can.
Stop. Time.
That's all you need.
Out of that, yeah. An EV sales are showing inconsistency across brands. A new study reveals that dealer enthusiasm may be one of the key factors. A survey of 250 dealership leaders across the U.S. shows a surprising lack of excitement amongst sales teams, which may be influencing EV adoption rates. 49% of dealers surveyed say their sales teams are, quote, not excited at all about selling EVs, with enthusiasm highest in the Pacific region. No surprise, including California. But even there, few are even, quote, very excited. Dealers in rural areas and other colder climates with low charging infrastructure, winter range issue. They talk about charging infrastructure, winter range issues as major concerns. Areas with better EV training obviously show higher enthusiasm, suggesting education could boost sales interest. Shout out to all of our people training their people on EVs. There's a lot of them out there. It's the other 50%. The study highlights the industry struggle to adapt the traditional sales models into the demands of the EV market. And one dealer in Montana noted, quote, we live in a rural area with large distances between towns. It's just not a viable alternative to ICE.
Yeah, I mean, this makes a ton of sense. One, it's clear. Like, if you get trained on these things, if you get access to them, if you get the ability to drive them, you understand how to educate the customer, it becomes a lot more exciting and accessible even to sell them. I mean, I remember back when I was selling cars, and actually when I was a manager at a dealership, one of our goals was to figure out how to logically and easily make it make sense for all of our employees to be in the product, right? And we knew that if we had all of our employees in the product, the chances of them being able to sell the product better were much higher, right? So how many of the salespeople have ever owned an EV to understand more and more about it and get that level of excitement. So it's almost, I think it goes past training and it goes to like ownership and use of the vehicle. But also, honestly,
that makes so much sense, dude.
Just from a profitability perspective and like what you get paid on these, so many of these EVs are showing shrinking margins. And so like, am I going to sell this car for a Mini or am I going to get a commission on this car? Right. It's a real logical choice for a salesperson.
Really is, I do think so. Just so you know, this was a CDK study. This article that we have linked up in the show notes is from Electrify News. Electrify News is mainly a consumer facing publication. So I'm sorry, it's from Inside EVs, not Electrify News. Inside EVs. And it's like, this is why your dealer might not be excited to sell you an EV, right? So just to get inside the consumer mindset and what consumers are seeing and reading is important for us. And like you said, Kyle, the experience with one is the best way to increase enthusiasm. And look, whether or not you, even as a dealer principal or general manager, want your people to be selling EVs or in or out on the EV thing, a consumer's gonna walk in and ask questions. And even if you don't want really to encourage the sale of EVs and you're not leaning in that direction, having educated salespeople that can meet the questions with knowledge and enthusiasm is a big part of keeping that customer's trust, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would still say for those that aren't in like EV saturated markets, having 1 or 2 dedicated EV salespeople that do maybe own the product, are very familiar with it, understand the technology, is still a really, really viable, way of going about this business to transition this person to kind of a specialist. You see that in, brands that maybe don't have a ton of these in stock or things like that. So I would say that's a perfect start as compared to like training the entire staff on it. That's what Nissan did early. Ford has done that early. So just like an early thought to maybe start that transition.
Yeah, our good friend Adrian Gibbs is on the live stream, chimed in. That's why GM has crazy lease deal for employees this month. We sold 10 EVs to staff in the last 2 weeks.
And that will produce itself in spades next month in EV sales on the floor. Period.
Absolutely.
It always will.
Oh, all right. There's no great segue to this next story, but we're still staying on the topic of EVs, accessibility, and all that stuff. ChargePoint, big network, is one of the biggest, is tackling one of the biggest headaches for EV drivers with its new Omni port. I don't know if we have a picture of this. It's basically a solution that combines multiple connector types into a single handheld unit. So no need for adapters. And it's going to support the future models that are on the CCS, including 800 volt systems for faster chargers. So basically, I just realized, Kyle, this is your story, and I'm all over it.
It's okay. You just run it, man.
Fun ones. Usually, fun ones. It's fun to talk about that, though. We have a little routine here, and I just blew it. The OmniPort basically can be retrofitted to existing ChargePoint stations, so they can actually just, turn the old ones into new ones. Rick Wilmer, CEO of ChargePoint, emphasizes, quote, "We are giving drivers and site hosts assurance that ChargePoint will continue to meet all their charging needs now and in the future."
I actually really love this because when you look at, everybody's kind of been saying we need to get this centralized thing. Maybe everyone's going to the NACS or whichever route they're going from a charging infrastructure perspective. And you look at just how people get gas in their car, right? Universally centralized. It's one way to do it. But then when you think about just how electricity gets managed around the world, right? Every single country has their own way of managing how to plug into electricity. Even if you go to a European country or even to Canada or things like that, we don't do this in the US, but in the rest of the world, most of your hotels have this like universal thing that you plug into, right? And it accepts somehow they figured out how to accept 10 different ways to plug into electricity and convert it all. And so I think ChargePoint is doing something that's very native to the way electricity is handled.
Good point.
Around the world. So kudos to them.
I like that point. Yeah, I do think that's just a very practical solution.
Yep.
And a very easily and quickly broadly deployable thing. And for all those people who invested early, we were talking about this last week, invested early in charging stations, and now the equipment's starting to seem old and busted. Well, nothing like a little upgrade to make everybody feel happy again. We hope you feel happy going into this week. There's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of people to serve, a lot of cars to sell, a lot of EV things to learn, but most importantly, take care of one another. We will see you here tomorrow morning.